help you out.
It's been a rough week, thanks to your advice.
Are you a regular listener to this program?
As much as I can be.
There's your problem.
I would not ever disagree with you because you're so smart. You have a lot of answers to a lot of things.
You don't want to listen to me on the radio.
So what do I do?
I can't give you any direction.
Thank you for empowering me. I needed that.
I'm losing you, buddy. I don't know what you're trying to say.
Well, do you know somebody who does?
Now, from the studios of Living Bread Radio Network in Canton, Ohio, the hometown of Mother Angelica, here's Dr. Ray.
Yes. I see. Mm-hmm. Tell me more. That's one option. Have you considered others? What might happen? Are you comfortable? We're on the air. We're on the air. I was just warming up. I just doing warm-ups. That's all. When you lift weights, you got to warm up because your muscles are not ready to take on that struggle against gravity. I was just stretching here. I didn't know we were on the air, but we are on the air, and I am in the studios of EWTN down here in Birmingham and Old Leeds, Alabama. They let me in because the name is Old Leeds. Yeah, they said, Ray, you could be our poster boy. I don't know what a lead is, but you can be old. Good to have you here. Now, I'm going to speak a little louder because I'm not up north in the studios where I normally broadcast, or I'm up there in Canton, Ohio, the home of Mother Angelica. That's right. So I have to speak louder because those of you in Michigan or St. Louis, some of our many affiliates, I'm way down here. And it's going to take a while for the voice to get up there. So the number is the same, 877-573-7825. Now, Andrew Kruchek is my producer man. They're in Ave Maria Radio. And Eric Dumont is call screamer. Now, down here in EWTN, Ace McKay, special agent, does his own stunts on the movies. Isn't that Ace McKay? Come on, Ace, you know that. That is absolutely, you deliberately had your mother change your name because you just wanted to identify as some kind of special agent. He's on his phone. He's figuring, Guarendi's not getting any calls. Don't worry about it. I'll just do what I want. Let me give you the number, 877-57-EQUAL. I would love to hear from you, please. Normally we get a lot of calls, so when it gets quiet out there, I kind of take it personal. It's like, why don't you people want to talk to me? Is it something I said? Is it another host? Is it another psychologist? 877-57-EQUAL. You get Eric Dumont. He'll pick up the phone. He's very pleasant. The doctor is in. And then he normally says, what is your question? But you don't have to have a question. Yesterday we got some comments. I was talking about, death and how we really don't think about it in our culture because it's been pushed away from us. So we got a lot of calls about that. So we have comments, and sometimes you just call in because you want to help somebody else out. We had a couple of those yesterday. So please feel free to do that. And if you have something about psychology or intelligence or a particular diagnosis or a test result, something in the world of the psyche that you don't understand, I'd love to hear from you. All right. Those of you who are parents, who are grandparents, you're out in public. Somebody hands this child a cookie. Manners make you look very good out in public. That's why children don't use them. So you help her out. What do you say? She looks at you. Like this is the first time in your life you have ever brought this concept up. What's the magic word? Nothing. Being a veteran parent, veteran grandparent, you take your thumb and your middle finger, and you reach for some fleshy upper arm part, and you give a little squeeze. Say thank you. Ow! You're hurting me. So in a fit of resolve, you take what's left of the cookie, you hand it back to the person who gave it to her, telling them, thank you. but she knows she needs to say thank you. I prompted her 3 times just to avoid a scene, so whatever she says now, it's too late. Does that person look at you and say, wow, good for you? You know, you don't see people doing that these days anymore. You know, nowadays especially. Then they turn to the child and say, honey, you're very lucky to have a mother or a grandmother or a father or a grandfather like this. You don't understand it now, but you're going to understand it 20 years from now. What does that person say? Oh, no, that's okay. Here you go, honey. I have 4 more bags for you because you live with a wicked witch of the West. Now, why do we put so much effort into manners? And you do this hundreds, thousands of times. You do this. Why? It's more than courtesy. It's dignity. Using manners conveys, I respect you. I want to give you the dignity that I think you deserve. So we emphasize manners. But I'm going to tell you, I think there's a lot of grown-ups that don't have the manners of a 5-year-old. Definitely teenagers don't have the manners of a 5-year-old. I think part of that is because parents get lazy. They figure by the time he's 14, he should know, please, thank you, excuse me. But they don't. It slips into inertia. This really happens in marriages. The law of social entropy is what I call it. Manners are affected by it. The law of entropy basically says everything tends towards decay. Eventually, the sun is going to burn out. Iron rusts, your body's age. Everything moves towards decay. The law of social entropy says familiarity breeds decay. For example, not unusual, I will hear spouses say that my spouse was much more complimentary when we dated. My spouse was very mannerly and pleasant, and just that's one of the things that attracted me to him. He just had such nice manners. Where'd they go? Spouses get sloppy. We get sloppy in please and thank you. Hey, honey, how about another cup of coffee? Now, that sounds kind of sort of nice because it was asked pleasantly, but there was no please. Do you thank your spouse every time there's a meal put in front of you? I would think, I was going to say I would suspect, but I have no way to suspect. I would think that on a good, solid, loving marriage, thank you is said 5, 6, 8, 10 times a day. Think about it. All the things that you do for each other, do you just kind of let them go by? Why is it that we put so much effort into teaching a 5-year-old, but yet when we become adults, we get really sloppy? Manners can sue the relationship. They truly can. Please, thank you, excuse me. Didn't even want to get into I'm sorry yet. That's a lot harder for people to do, for me to talk about how important I'm sorry is, but manners aren't. Honey, please, could I have one of those spoons for my coffee? Thank you. Just routine, second nature, attached to the front and the back of sentences. Conveys dignity. It must be valuable because you wouldn't spend so much time trying to drum it into the head of a 5-year-old. Why? So she gets a cookie, she takes it, and she starts eating it. What's the problem here? She didn't do anything wrong. She didn't say, you're ugly. She didn't say, I don't want that. She didn't say, I don't like that kind of cookie. She just took the cookie and ate it. And so what do? You say, what do you say? Well, take it to your marriage. Think to yourself, what do I say? Now, please, call me. I have to take a break, and I thank you that you stuck around through the break, I hope. 877
57 equal is the number to call to get onto the program so we can talk. And I give you my commitment. I will be mannerly.
Underwritten in part by this not-for-profit.
Are you looking for peace? Longing for joy? Want to meet the giver of all goodness? God is calling the laity to bring Ignatian prayer into a suffering world. Work for the new evangelization. Go to LordTeachMeToPray.com. Order your free digital training and manual. Find true happiness and everlasting joy. Go to LordTeachMeToPray.com and click on the red button today. It's free. Approved by the USCCB.
What are the theological virtues? The Catholic Catechism tells us they are the foundation of Christian moral activity. Infused into our souls by God, they enable us to act as God's children and merit eternal life. The three theological virtues are faith, hope, and charity. Faith is the virtue by which we believe in God and all that He has said and revealed to us, as well as what the Church has proposed for our belief, because God is truth itself. The Apostle James, however, reminds us that faith without works is dead. A disciple of Christ, says the Catechism, must also be willing to profess and spread the faith. Our Lord said, "So everyone who acknowledges me before men, I will acknowledge before my Father in heaven. But whoever denies me before men, I will also deny before my Father who is in heaven." This is Peggy Stanton, and this has been the Order of Malta's Minute with the Catechism.
Would you get on a plane that doesn't have a pilot? Investing in passive index mutual funds may present the same issue. The Ave Maria mutual funds are actively managed by seasoned investment professionals to help you meet your investment goals in a morally responsible way. Ave Maria funds are managed to conform to pro-life and pro-family values. Long-term investors could invest in the no-load Ave Maria mutual funds. You can learn more about the Ave Maria mutual funds at 866-AVE-MARIA or visit AveMariaFunds.com.
Down here at the studios, EWTN, they're taking some pictures of me, which I don't like, because I like the picture that's on my website, and I like the picture that they use to advertise a TV show. Okay, so it's a little dated. All right, I'll admit it. It's my first communion picture. But the problem is, when you take a picture and you're getting older, you know how you know you're getting older? I had to redo my driver's license on my birthday this year. And I saw the picture. And I said, that's not a bad picture. Now you know you're getting older. Lynette from Ohio. Hi, Lynette. How are you?
Good. Thank you, Dr. Ray. First, I wanted to thank you so much profusely for giving parents, young and old, such great advice on morality today and discipline, which means to teach. And then with such great humor. You've got me through a lot of tough times just by listening to you on the radio.
I've been raising you?
And no, my husband used to joke that I was stalking you because I used to travel locally to hear you speak a lot. This was, maybe 5 kids ago.
Where's your hometown?
Richfield, Ohio.
Oh, we were up there where remember the Cavaliers had the huge, what was that called, their Coliseum?
Oh, yes. The Coliseum, yes.
They took that thing down, didn't they?
And a couple other places. Oh, yeah, a long time ago. And I'm glad now that I live here.
Richfield's beautiful. Isn't that where you guys have all the ski
gorgeous.
Slopes or something? Don't you have a ski slope up there?
Yeah. Boston Mills, yeah, it's very close. We have that there. I don't know how to ski, though. I'm terrified.
Well, I used to water ski, but I had to quit because I couldn't find a lake with a slope. I just couldn't. It was really very difficult. So.
Okay.
Hey, you're not going to get my best stuff because you're not paying for this. If you come to a talk where you're paying, then you're going to get better stuff. So, your oldest daughter has been diagnosed. Now, she's been officially diagnosed bipolar?
Yes, doctor. She's 27. About 10 years ago, we found out that she was cutting herself, and we now know what the catalyst for that was, which is an embarrassing thing with actually are religious, which I don't want to go into. I pray for that person all the time. But in the meantime, we kept her home with us, and she was in and out of a hospital mentally for about 7 or 8 times. And we were trying and monitor that, take care of her, make sure that we were within counseling, I guess you could say, as a sounding board for her. And then finally she got the courage, one of my own counselors that I went to see because I didn't know how to deal with this. She said, let your daughter go out on her own. She's got to learn. So we did that, and last May she moved out on her own. However, one of the difficulties in making her feel okay is purchasing things. I don't know where, Doctor, the disease covers that kind of rampant purchasing, or if it's just a lack of self-control.
Well, let me give you a little bit of primer on that, Lynette.
Okay.
The diagnosis of bipolar, according to a study done by Harvard Medical School, is, in their conclusion was, it was at least 50% overdiagnosed. Now, one of the reasons for that is when you have somebody who is discontent and unhappy, or like your daughter who had a traumatic event or events,
yes,
they can react with a lot of depression, a lot of self-blame, a lot of blue emotions, all of that. Now, sometimes that lifts. Sometimes there's periods where she's doing okay or was doing okay. So it looks like it's a cyclical thing. You know, she goes down into her trough and then she comes back up. Now, one kind of bipolar, and this is what you're touching on, is it's cyclic, and it goes through also manic episodes where, in fact, there is a loss of contact with reality. There is maybe hallucinations, maybe some confusion. Maybe your daughter would go through periods where she'd sleep 2 hours a night. Did any of that happen?
Oh, boy, Doctor. I don't know about her sleeping habits. I know that, yes, she definitely went into low episodes, and that was where she was cutting herself. I didn't realize to what extent until she got into a car accident, and I saw what her body looked like. Initially, she didn't want to tell us, and so she used one of my other daughters, who was way too young to absorb all of this, as the contact person.
Well, let me cut in here because I don't want you to bump up against the break. I want to give you at least some guidance.
Doctor.
Okay. So right now you say she goes on these shopping binges where she shows poor judgment, and she wants it, she buys it. Obviously, she runs out of money. Okay?
Yeah.
And she runs out of money to pay for the necessities like rent or heating or this. Now, your question is, what do we do? Do we
we loaned her about $7,000, Doctor, which we have 7 children. We can't afford that, especially in today's economic.
Here's the thing. You loaned it. Did you ever get it paid back?
She's paid back about $2,000.
Okay. See, here's the question. Here's what I think you're struggling with, and I can't say this from here, Lynette.
Yeah.
If, in fact, she is classically bipolar, which means she has her lows and she has her highs, and the highs get kind of crazy, or she's just an individual who goes through these serious bouts of depression, and then she never really gets manic, but she has poor judgment. She just doesn't live life well. Okay. Now, you say to yourself, what do we do? I can't know that. Obviously, she's got a psychiatrist. So you bounce this off the psychiatrist. But if, in fact, her super buying behavior is not tied into some biochemical upheaval, it's just simply because I want what I want. I want to have it. It's cool stuff. I'm 27 years old, and I lived at home all this time, and now I'm out on my own, and I still want all the comforts that I had when I had at Mom and Dad's house, and I want the best cable, and I want this kind of thing for my smartphone, and all of that, which you didn't say this, but I'll bet you that when she was living with you, you supported her a lot financially, right?
Well, she always had a job.
Okay, well, good.
She always had her own job. She bought her own car.
Well, here's the thing. She showed capability to do this as you saw it.
Yeah.
So at some point, here's why I think you're struggling. You don't want to make a mistake. Uh-oh. If, in fact, we don't keep pouring money into this behavior, what will happen? And then, if what happens is not good, I'll feel terrible. I couldn't live with myself. Well, here's what you've done to yourself. Leaving aside, I have no idea about the biochemical aspect of this. But even at that, many experts will tell you you can't keep fueling this. Here's what you've done to yourself. You've said, she keeps coming at us for money because she's irresponsible with money. And then when the wolves get at the door, we feel we got to at least sustain her somewhat. Well, we can't keep doing this. And then you say, okay, but what happens if we stop? You have to make a decision. You have to decide we're going to go this direction or we're going to go this direction. If you say to yourself, I absolutely could not live with myself if, because of her irresponsible behavior, she would do A, B, and C, then you're stuck. You're going to have to just keep supporting her. And if you say, well, no, I don't want to do that. I don't think I'm helping her. And I can't afford it anyway. Then at that point,
I don't want to fuel that.
You're going to find some social services for her, maybe. I don't know how much she makes, but she can get help with utilities and all those things. There's food banks, all kinds of stuff out there that she could take advantage of. So that's the decision facing you. In most cases, when I deal with folks in my office who are in similar situations like yours, and I have a lot more information, in most cases, what they're doing is not helping the person. Most cases.
Okay.
All right. So, all righty, my dear. God bless you.
Thank you very much, Doctor. God bless you, too.
I'll talk to you, honey. Okay. 877-573-7825. The lines are very quiet, and they normally are not quiet like this. Normally I feel very guilty because I can't get to everybody. But now, and I get this all the time in the email. You folks will email me and say, I wanted to call in, but I can't get through, or I wanted to call in, but I didn't think I'd get through, or I wanted to call in because you're dumb and I didn't want to hear what you had to say. I hate when I get those. I get those a lot. But 877-573-7825 is the number to call to get onto the program. 877-57-EQUAL. There we go. Calls are coming in. I'm Dr. Ray. Oh, wait a minute. That's right. I've been doing this for 20 years, and I just did that. We have a hard break at 20, what is that, Andrew, 25, and I'm sitting here thinking, oh, okay, I'll take a break because I want to. Now the hard break is coming in about 15 seconds. You know what? I did that on purpose. You think that Andrew, I just fouled up. I didn't. I did that on purpose. And you know why? Because I want people to realize everybody makes mistakes. That's it. That was my message. Okay, now I can take the break.
The wisdom of Mother Angelica.
I come from the other side of the tracks, see? My uncle used to have slot machines. Put one nickel in and it's emptied. And I brought them home in a bag, and my mother looked at me. Where did you get all that money? I said, I won them. You didn't win them. He fixed the machine. I didn't care if he fixed the machine or not, you know?
EWTN. Live truth. Live Catholic.
I'm angry, frustrated. Sound like you? Someone you know? Well, it could be any of us from time to time. But there's different types of anger. It's not so cut and dry. Hi, everybody. I'm Dr. Ray. One thing is for sure, you don't need to suffer with anger frustration. In my book, Living Calm, Mastering Anger and Frustration, you'll learn whether your anger is a product of your nature or your nurture, and how to regulate those emotions and those thoughts. You can get Living Calm and all my other books at AveMariaRadio.net.
Christ is the answer, with Father John Riccardo.
John, chapter 8, verse 51. Jesus is in a discussion with some of the leaders of the Jews. They're talking about Abraham. Abraham lived 1,500 years before the time of Jesus. So in the course of the discussion, Jesus says, Truly, truly, I say to you, if anyone keeps my word, he will never see death. He says that often in the Gospels. He who keeps my word or believes in me will never die. To which the Jews say, now we know you have a demon. And they say, Abraham died, as did the prophets. All the patriarchs, the great men and women of the history of Israel. All these people died, and you say, if anyone keeps my word, he will never taste death? Are you greater than our father Abraham, who died? And the prophets who died? And Jesus says, your father Abraham rejoiced that he was to see my day. He saw it and was glad. To which the Jews say, you are not yet 50 years old, and you've seen Abraham? And Jesus answers, truly, truly, I say to you, before Abraham was, I am.
Thank you for joining me, keeping my commitment to be mannerly. Say thank you a lot. Dr. Ray Guarendi, program The Doctor is in. We are in. I'm just including you. They taught us that in psychology. You just use the plural pronoun. Kind of makes it seem like we're all just sharing the experience. I am in EWTN studios right down here. Ace McKay is on the other side of the plexiglass. I saw him in a trilogy of movies. Yeah, Ace McKay, Pet Detective. I think it was something like that. I'm not real sure. Last night we really blew it in trivia. Here was the question for the finals, and we could have finished second. 3 states have double letters in a row, like BB, AA, CC, and so do their capitals. Now, we immediately got Tennessee, who has Nashville, LL, but I couldn't believe we blew Missouri and Pennsylvania. Anyway, never mind, I'm still stinging from that. Now, Mary Margaret is calling, and Mary Margaret is 101 years old. She is, with the exception of Teresa Tomeo, the oldest caller we've ever had on this program. Hi, Mary Margaret.
Hello, how are you doing?
I tell you what, you just sound like you could go lift weights.
Oh, dear. Must be the weather.
Your question is a very generic one, and it's one that a lot of people give me. And I get this in therapy. People will come in, and they'll actually be quite distressed at what they see or what they hear or what is thrown at them about the world around them. Correct?
Mm-hmm.
All right. I'm going to give you several points to consider. 1, the world has always been sinful. If you know anything about human history, it is absolutely filled with wars, with subjugation, ugly, ugly, ugly stuff.
Yes, I agree.
The vast majority of it, 99.9% of it, you didn't know what was going on 40 miles away, much less what's going on in Europe, much less what is going on somewhere in the southern United States. You didn't know any of that. All you knew was your immediate world. Well, our media traffics in ugliness, They know it. They feed into the voyeurism of humans. And we absorb this stuff, and we start to think it's all gone to hell in a handbasket. It's horrible. It's awful. We're going to just collapse. I saw a study the other day. Listen to this. 30% of the people polled thought that the world is coming to an end because of climate. Now, the climate predictions have been wrong every step of the way. Every step of the way. But it shows you how powerful the media can be to tell you how awful it is. It's horrible. It's terrible. Now the reports are coming in that you got young people saying, I don't want to have kids because they won't be alive after the world is done. I don't want to get a job. Why? Well, because the world isn't going to last. So I guess my point, Mary Margaret, is it's not as bad as we think it is, because most of us still live in a fairly contented circle of people. But if you imbibe a steady diet of everything that's going on out there, and I have to do this because of this show and because of other reasons, I have to keep reorienting myself. I have to keep saying, first of all, if there's somebody going to get murdered in Idaho, I heard about it for 3 weeks. It's definitely a tragedy, but it's not something I would have known about 100 years ago.
That's right.
So that's a lot of it, my dear. And remember this. I always tell myself this. God designed all this. He knows where it's gone. He lets us do what we do. He doesn't stop us. But in the end, somehow, some way, beyond anything we understand, he wins. Now, again, I get a lot of people who comfort themselves by saying, God's in charge. God's in charge. God will win. God knows what he's doing. Yeah, but in the meantime, there's a lot of people who get hurt. So that one comforts me at one level, but I don't lean on it by saying, well, God's in charge. He is in a broad way. But in a way, for example, with Ray Guarendi, God lets Ray Guarendi do what he's going to do. And if Ray Guarendi is going to be evil or a jerk, God allows it. And our culture right now...
I think that was Roy Denuti. I think that was Roy Denuti.
That was my... I changed my name. That was my professional sports name. It really was. So you guys are delightful, but I just wanted to rant and rave there. Mary Margaret, God bless you, honey.
We appreciate you.
All righty. God bless you.
She loves, I have to say, she loves Father Larry as well, and I was telling her you knew him, and when he says Jesus first, others second, and yourself last, I mean, that's what Mary Margaret does, so that's probably how she's made it so long.
I just want you to know that a lot of what he knows, I taught him. Just wanted you to tell her that.
Well, be good to yourself and don't keep too busy.
You know what, honey? If I keep too busy, I hurt myself. It's that simple, you know? All right.
God bless you, Dr.
Thank you, Whitney. I'll talk to you. All right. I got a little bit of time here now. Andrew's got me all paranoid looking at the clock here. B from Moses Lake, Washington. Hi, B.
Oh, hi. Bless your heart.
Well, thanks. Well, I tell you what, I didn't know you were going to be that perky. You don't sound guilt-ridden.
Oh dear. Well, I think. Oh, I am so sorry. It's like when my son was younger, and I lived my life very recklessly, drinking and staying out, and I think I went through a screaming period where I screamed. And just remembering all that, and I just have this sadness and this guilt that I couldn't, never make it up to him. And, I've told him, as an adult, it's like, I am just so sorry for the way I used to be. And, and he'd say, oh, Mom, I I just want you to be happy. But I just
B,
carry this
you know what I
guilt,
think?
and
B, you stay right there, honey, because I got to take a hard break. But I'm going to say something that isn't exactly warm and supportive, but I'll make it warm and supportive when I get back. And here's what I'm going to say to you, honey. You ponder this question, okay? Are you holier than God? Now ponder that, because I will unpack it on the other side of the break.
Father Benedict Rochelle.
There are legitimate differences of opinion in any religion. There are differences of opinion in Catholicism. But in Catholicism, you expect that people will take the teaching of its supreme authority seriously. To go diametrically opposed to those teachings is to not be a Catholic. Someone in the name of Catholicism is sponsoring the destruction of human life, lives of unborn children. And he got the name Catholic on the door. The highest authority in Catholicism and the encyclical Humanae Vitae, Evangelium Vitae, is absolutely clear that no Catholic can support abortion and that Catholics are responsible to take serious action against legalized abortion.
The people you know and trust are on EWTN.
The Catholic Church teaches that Jesus Christ is literally and wholly present, body and blood, soul and divinity, under the appearances of bread and wine. St. John the Apostle records the John chapter 6 Bread of Life discourse, in which Jesus states that his flesh is true food and his blood true drink. Who better to understand John's writings and subsequent teachings than a disciple and student of John, St. Ignatius of Antioch? In his letter to the Smyrnians in 110 AD, Ignatius writes, "I have no taste for corruptible food, nor for the pleasures of this life. I desire the bread of God, which is the flesh of Jesus Christ. And for drink, I desire his blood, which is love incorruptible." The Catholic Church absolutely follows St. John and St. Ignatius in taking Jesus at his word. Examining the truths of the Catholic faith, this is faithforensics.org.
Thanks for joining me, Dr. Ray Guarendi. Program Doctor is in. I am talking to B from Moses Lake, and I left her with one heavy question. B, you still there, dear?
Yes.
Now, why would I, given that you, in describing this, even just talking about it, got very emotional, why would I ask you, B, are you holier than God? Why would I ask you that?
Well, I know I'm forgiven, by God. But it's just that, my son was the first person that I ever just completely loved. And to know that I was just stupid and reckless and that I hurt him, I can't seem to forgive myself for that.
Well, first of all, let's acknowledge something. You ready?
Yes.
All right. Well, you were stupid. You were immature. Okay. I got a question for you, and I've brought up this question a number of times on this program with people who can't forgive themselves pre-Christian. Do you know which apostle wrote the majority of the New Testament?
Is it Paul?
Yes.
I don't know.
St. Paul. Now, do you know his history before he came to Christ?
Yes, didn't he killed a Christian?
Yeah. So God said, Paul, I want you to do this. I want you to be mine. So that kind of tells you how God operates. So he wants you to let go of this. You know, I look back, and I can't count. It's countless, B. How many it's nuts. And I would think many, many people listening to this program, all my 184 listeners, before they became Christians, some of the crap that I pulled and I did. Of course. That's why we have a God like we have a God. He pulls you out of the mud. So, my dear, you don't be doing this anymore. Now, I know I can't make you stop. But you already went to your son. You said, son, I love you. I regret the way I did some of the things. All I can do now is love you as best I can. And that's it. You deserve the peace of this. You can't say to yourself, I'm not going to forgive me. I know God forgives me, but I can't forgive me. Wait a minute. That means you're more holy than God.
Okay.
Ah. How's that for getting psychologically smacked around, huh?
Bless your heart, I love you dearly.
Oh, my dear.
Oh, my goodness.
Be at peace. And call back if you want a booster shot. All righty. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, bless you.
All right. Matthew from Atlanta, Georgia, our big powerhouse affiliate down there, 50,000 watts. Hi, Matthew.
Hello, Dr. Ray.
You want to comment on my Monday monologue?
Yes, I do, because it really was inspiring. The thing about it was you said, just don't second guess yourself. Just get up and do what had to be done. And, you know, there was a bluegrass concert in my neighborhood, and I was worn out. I didn't feel like going. And but I said to myself, if I don't go, I'm going to regret it. So I went on ahead and went. And another part of the monologue was, you said you cannot whine without the vowels. Well, this guy, one of the lyrics in this thing, he hit the thing and he had held that vowel for like 10 seconds. And I said to myself, you know, Dr. Ray was right. You cannot whine without
Gotta have a vowel. That's right. Hey, quit.
Yeah.
Well, Matthew, I appreciate it, and I think I know what you're referring to, because I talked about so much of what we do, we debate. We have an internal debate, and as that debate goes on, we talk ourselves out of it. And I drew the parallel to going to exercise. I said sometimes you just got to go. You just show up. You don't think about it. You just head there, and if you know something is good for you, then you don't sit and agonize over which direction do I go. You go do it. Matthew, thank you. I appreciate that, my friend. I got to get to some other folks. Ruth from Oregon, we had a call at the end of the show on Tuesday. A young woman, age 34, tragically, shockingly discovered her husband one night as he went in to brush his teeth. And she noticed he didn't come out of the bathroom, and he passed away from what she was told, if I recall correctly, a congenital heart problem that was there. And it only happened a month ago. And this young lady, this dear young lady, talked about what he meant to her and how she was doing everything because he helped bring her to the Catholic faith, and how she was just doing so much these days, visiting his gravesite, praying for his soul. And Ruth says, I got something to add to that, Dr. Ray. Hi, Ruth.
Hi, Dr. Ray. Thanks for taking the call and for all the good you do. So my husband died at 36.
Oh, geez.
We had 5 little kids. It was a little different. It wasn't sudden. He did come into the church before he passed away. He was baptized, and but I just want to share, you know, it is going to hurt. That first year is pretty rough, but there's a lot of hope. It'll get a little better. It'll take time. You were right. That first year, all the anniversary, your first Valentine's Day without your Valentine, and but it will get better. And I'm looking back now, and the big 22, and 18 and some years later, you heal, and it's not easy, but I'm just thinking of her, and she did everything right too. Like, she called 911, she gave him chest compressions, she's praying for him, she's doing everything right. So no guilt there, young lady.
Do you remember her saying, though, that she had guilt and what it was about?
Yeah, I think
because she couldn't go visit him. She couldn't go visit his
right.
gravesite.
Yeah, the weather. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. 18 years ago, this happened to Ruth.
Right. It'll be 19 in June. So
you raised all 5 children on your own?
No, I remarried. So, he's quite a dad, very involved. Married the local bachelor, no kids, never married. So
he came in, add water, have family.
Yeah, he passed up all his friends who have just a couple of kids, and he's like, "Ooh, I win! I have 5, and now guess what? Now we have 6." I squeaked in one more at the end at 44.
So how old's this this last child?
She's 11, and her name's Grace.
My mom and dad, my brother died when I was 14. And my mom and dad had my brother Mike. They were in their 40s. And I was 15 when they had him. And he's been my best buddy all my life.
Oh,
I used to use him to meet girls. When I was in college, when he was 7, he was real cute, a little towhead kid, and I'd say, Mikey, go talk to her. So he'd go over and he'd start talking to her, and I'd come over and I'd say, is he bothering you? Oh, no, he's so cute. He was better than a dog. He really worked better than a dog getting to talk to these girls that I wouldn't otherwise get to talk to. So.
How funny. You used your brother to get girls to talk to. That's perfect.
Oh, Ruth, God bless you. Thank you for calling with that experience. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. And
all right.
God bless the young lady.
All righty. I hope she's listening. This is Dr. Ray.
Hi, I'm Dr. Greg Popchak from More to Life. A new poll found that 85% of kids raised in Catholic homes leave the church by adulthood. But similar research shows that there is hope. Learn what you can do to help your kids become faithful adults in our new free webinar sponsored by Ave Maria Radio. Against the Odds, the keys to raising faithful Catholic kids, on Wednesday, February 8th at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Sign up for free today at CatholicHOM.com/webinar. That's CatholicHOM.com/webinar.
Jesus calls his followers disciples. That's the word that we use in English, but really in the Greek New Testament, it's the word for student. Now, you might say the School of Jesus Christ is more of a trade school or technical school than it is a liberal arts college, because in the School of Jesus Christ you learn how to live like the Master lives. But it is a school. The teacher isn't just passing along information. The teacher is passing along knowledge of the ultimate purposes of God. The Master is passing along the knowledge of life and the will of God concerning man. The School of Jesus Christ is a real thing, and if we are disciples of his, we've entered into that school, and by paying attention to his teaching, we will conform our lives to his.
Cresta in the Afternoon with Al Cresta, 4 Eastern on EWTN Radio.
Underwritten in part by the following nonprofit.
Do you have an insurance plan that pays for everything, even things you don't believe in? There are options. You can join Solidarity Health Share, a faith-based health-sharing community. Plus, Solidarity Health Share can save you money with prices starting as low as $384 a month for families.
Call to see how much you can save. 844-398-9399. That's 844-398-9399.
A lot of very nice calls still up there. And remember the rule. Well, maybe you don't remember the rule. Maybe you don't even know the rule. The rule is if you're on the phone at the end of the program, you are first up anytime you call back, all the way to the end of the world or to the end of my career on this program, whichever comes first. Eric from Personsey. Well, actually Boise, but you can't say Boise. You have to say Personsey. Hi, Eric.
How are you doing today?
Okay, buddy.
So, my brother obviously was baptized Catholic, and he left the faith shortly after high school. Do I try to bring him back to the faith because he lives a couple hundred miles away?
How long ago was that, Eric?
I'm sorry?
How long ago was that?
Decades, plural maybe. Because let's go with that because he's close enough. It's close enough to 2 decades.
Okay, so what makes you have the urge now to try to bring him back to the faith?
Because I'm a better Catholic than I ever was growing up, especially like I left the faith too, and then I came back to it by the grace of God.
Well, then you kind of got an in here, Eric, I think.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. So do I do it over the phone? Because I don't feel like that's not nearly as personal as over person to person.
Well, you can introduce it.
I don't want to away. That's the thing. I mean, he's my only brother, and he could easily say, you know what, you made me mad, and I don't want to talk to you again. And he just doesn't ever. He plays like he blocks phone calls from his only brother, and both her parents have passed away. And,
wait a minute. You're telling me he really doesn't want to talk to you about much of anything?
Oh, he when he answers the phone, it's to talk to his only nieces and nephew. He isn't, it's not really just.
Wow. So he doesn't want to talk to you.
I'm sorry. I'll stop talking. Say it one more time, please.
You're estranged from your brother?
Well, it's not estranged, but it's like if I push him, I feel it could get that way, and I guess I am placing it on myself. But I don't want to cross that bridge because I'm nervous.
Well, it sounds like that you're feeling some kind of obligation now that you realize how important the faith is to at least make an effort to share it with him. But the problem is everything in the last couple of decades has indicated anything you say to him that he doesn't want to hear, he shuts you off. True?
100% correct.
So I would think that religion would be a topic that he would shut off quicker than anything else. Do you get that sense?
100%. Again.
Okay.
It's not like you're you know what you're talking about.
So I would probably recognize that, okay, this is not something he wants to hear. I'll continue to pray for him like I always have. And if the topic ever comes up, you're ever at some kind of informal setting, and if you go visit him, don't visit him with the purpose of, okay, I'm going to open up this religion question, because he'll shut you off. Just go visit him. And if any time during that visit he says something that allows you to just curiously ask, I'm just curious. I just want to know, I'm not trying to argue with you or persuade you, I really just want to know, how was it that you just decided this religion thing is not for you? That's all. You're just going to kind of get him to, if he will, explain. Because the instant he smells that you're going to try to debate him or you're going to try to influence him, he's going to shut you down. So your opening that's the least threatening would be, I'm just curious. I've had a lot of friends and a lot of people that I know, they leave the faith, and I've always wondered why people leave the faith. What is it about the faith or other people in the faith that turn them off? Would he give you an answer?
we'll find out when I ask him if that ever
Okey-doke.
comes up. Hopefully it will.
Yeah, you got your opening. But I would just be a good brother to him is the best thing you can do right now. When you have relatives that just don't want to hear it, you can't push it. Thank you, everybody. Thanks, Ace McKay, Andrew Kruchek, producer Amanda Dave, Eric Dumont, Call Screamer, and all of you still on the line. Delighted to have you. Good Lord permitting, tomorrow we're going to do a live show. Normally it's Look Back. We're going to do live because I'm down here at EWTN. Oh, I got to go to St. Rose Academy tonight in Birmingham.
For information on Dr. Ray's presentations, books, and CDs, visit drray.com and follow him on Facebook. The Doctor is In is a co-production of Ave Maria Radio and EWTN Radio and carried across the EWTN Global Catholic Radio Network.